No, let's do American Redact. Tim didn't realize it's Joe Rogan's salty soul.
But maybe it's fine.
Have you gotten any invites to any bunkers?
No, they're not.
Do you think you'd feel differently if you did?
I don't know. I
know you've had invites to do interesting things.
I've had invites to Thiel, and I've said no because I think, he'd probably sit me down and go, listen to me, you fat fuck. You're going to shut your mouth.
Tim Dillon appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast recently, and one of the strangest moments came when the conversation shifted towards Joe's close friend, Peter Thiel, who's of course the founder of the surveillance company Palantir, and is also believed to be one of Joe's alleged handlers. Like, he just seems to have built an enormous amount of influence within Joe Rogan's circle over the years, because a surprising number of Joe's guests have either worked for Thiel, been funded by him, attended his private dinners, or have just some kind of connection to him. Even Rogan has admitted to going over to Thiel's house for dinner more than once,
Christ.
which he actually revealed to Tim Dillon in the podcast they did together 8 months prior to this one.
Like real old school, like waspy.
Didn't you get...
Put this towards a pack of Ricola cough drops. Fist emoji.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Casual. Appreciate you.
invited to have lunch or something, or dinner with Peter?
Yes, I said no.
Did you?
I said no. I'm a little wary of that circle of people, and I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them because obviously there's people in there. I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course.
And perform.
Of course.
I've been to Peter's house twice.
Yeah.
I went once with dinner with Eric Weinstein.
Trying to call out Tim Dillon for being a hypocrite, right? Trying to call out Tim Dillon's hypocrisy, but not seeing your own is kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie. Rogan being quick to notice when other people are being hypocrites, but not being aware when he's sounding like one or appearing like one is very interesting. Rules for D, not for me.
I forget who else. And then the second time he brought me in because they were going to have lunch with Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, the guy, the Chariots of the Gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. I'm in. And I know so much about that. So I was asking him all these questions.
I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Like Peter Thiel. People that know him go, he's a nice guy. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I get invited to a lot of dinners and a lot of things. And what I try to do is I try to say to myself, I need to be able to criticize people and make fun of them.
Right.
So, it felt like really weird to go to this guy's house and then on him the next day.
Do you think that's part of the strategy of inviting you to go to places?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most likely.
So.
But it doesn't work because I can't shut my mouth. I can't shut my mouth.
It's interesting that Joe seems to understand here that the only reason these billionaires and politicians want to form connections with podcasters like Joe and Tim is because these creepy elites don't want the biggest platforms in the world to be criticizing them. So he essentially understands and is okay with being used like a puppet. Like, he admires their success, influence, and what he sees as their intelligence so much that he just doesn't care. So just keep in mind that Rogan's super infatuated with Peter Thiel and his plan for human domination while watching this next clip here. Because at one point they started joking about the idea of Peter Thiel using AI to create the answer.
You know what's really weird about the Peter Thiel thing as well for me? You know what's really weird? I feel like Joe has known Elon longer than Peter Thiel, but I feel like Joe defends Peter Thiel with his life more than even Elon, you know? In such a short space of time, Peter Thiel has really dug his claws into Rogan. He's become a real important person in his life, more so than even Elon Musk. I swear, I feel like Peter Thiel was even more influential or more of a friend, whatever, to Rogan than Elon, because he really rides for Peter Thiel, boy. He really rides for that guy.
Antichrist, which is basically an artificial superintelligence that could end up wiping out humanity. And while Tim was clearly playing into the absurdity of the conversation, he eventually asks Joe what he actually thought about all of it, and that's when things got pretty eerie, because instead of just dismissing the idea, Joe almost sounded excited by it. Like, he essentially suggested that if AI became so advanced that it replaced humanity, then that's just the way it would be. I mean, he genuinely believes this.
is predicting it.
I get the feeling when you see a lot of these tech guys start adopting Christianity.
How about Peter Thiel's like that whole Antichrist thing?
Yeah, he does
Like,
that whole
what?
thing.
What is he doing? He gave a fucking lecture on the Antichrist.
Gives a bunch of lectures on the Antichrist. He's fascinated with it, and a lot of those guys are moving into this interesting area of this is God wants this. It's all of these worlds existing together, where you have this world of people who are trying to build a God, and the world of people who already believe in a God, and trying to get all of those people in the same tent. That's interesting.
It is.
You know?
Imagine if that's where God comes from. If this is a natural process for human beings and their curiosity and insatiable need for technological innovation.
But then what happens once we get God? Like once let's say we bring this God in, then what happens?
Nirvana.
Nirvana?
Yeah, we all merge. Becomes perfect.
Interesting.
Just
So we all
sign up.
merge and that's
Yeah,
perfect?
it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're all going to merge with the machine.
Interesting.
Tim's worried. He's winking. Hold on. Are you joking or are you being for real? Because Rogan's not a good comedian. Tim's really scared. Like, hold on. Are you for real? Like, are you for real? Tim's genuinely worried for you. Yeah, your friend's gone, mate. Wakey, Tim Dillon. Joe Rogan is no longer Joe Rogan.
Because people do believe that.
It's funny how Joe not understanding comedy sort of goes both ways for him. I mean, not only does he really not understand when comics are making jokes towards him, but he's so bad at comedy that his guests genuinely don't know when he's attempting that world-famous comedy of his. As whenever he does, he usually just states his actual worldviews in the cadence of a joke, as he did with Tim Dillon in that last clip. Like, even though a lot of people online are writing this off as Joe just joking about the whole thing, stating that he doesn't actually think an AI superbrain taking over mankind would be a good thing. Believe it or not, he really does believe this. Like, he's fully captured by Peter Thiel and this wacky worldview of his. He's even stated on this podcast numerous times that the humans are on their way out, and that Peter Thiel's plan to create the Antichrist with quantum computers and AI is the next logical thing. So he really wasn't kidding when he told Tim that this was all gonna feel like Nirvana once this process is complete.
Where the humans are on the way out. I know a lot of people hate it when Peter Thiel says it. Like, Peter Thiel is a terrible person. He's evil.
You think he is?
No. I think he's just telling you the truth. I think he's, you know, when they said, do you think human beings should survive? And he had like this long pause.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And then the interviewer was like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You think human beings should, which is not how you're supposed to do an interview. Well, at least not how I do it. If you ask me the same question, is it important that humans survive? Okay. Is it important that Australopithecus survived? It's not. Is it important that Neanderthal survived? It's not currently. Currently not important. Is it important that humans...
Easy to say when you have all the money in the world, isn't it? Easy to say when you're a fucking billionaire from talking shit into a microphone. Very easy to say.
Stay in this form? It's not. It's not going to be. If we're going to evolve to something way better than this... How many people go, I miss the old days when you could lie and you couldn't read minds and people were a lot more rapey. No one's going to say that. No one's going to, I miss the war.
Brian Cannon, Crystalia might.
I miss stealing and credit card fraud. I miss the good old days of a rigged stock market.
When the Jets won.
Yeah. No. No one's going to say that. They're going to move on to what's next. So Peter Thiel's right. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that being a person isn't important to me.
So yeah, don't be fooled, guys. Joe Rogan is fully bought in on the idea of AI ushering in this new advanced race of humanoids that'll benefit only the top 1%. Because he's a part of that group and he'll be able to afford it once that inevitably happens. Everyone else who's too poor, well, them dying off or being enslaved is just the way it's gonna be. Like, that's really how Joe Rogan thinks. And it's genuinely disturbing, even to a guy like Tim Dillon. And obviously Tim's aware of this by now, which is why it felt as if he were walking on eggshells with Joe during this entire episode. Like, he really didn't challenge Rogan at all during this episode, and it disappointed a lot of people who thought he would. Like, everyone thought that Tim Dillon would be the guy to finally push back on all the madness that Joe's been supporting lately.
No, Tim's a big pussy. Tim will always neuter his opinion about the world to be on Rogan, But then when you go to his own show, you hear the real truth. Tim is a giant pussy when it comes to Rogan. Giant pussy. But it also makes sense because Tim's a, what do you mean? Not opportunist, but he's pretty open about, making the best of his opportunities that he's given. So Tim knows where his bread is buttered. But he's never going to be the guy to really push back on Rogan. He's just going to say, interesting.
Since that's pretty much the only thing he does on his podcast nowadays, even for things like Palantir.
I mean, they're talking about religious intolerance. They're lighting children on fire in Gaza.
But I do like how he lets it hang on his own pod, though, especially on the bonus episodes. Definitely subscribe to his Patreon. Tim Dillon's Patreon is really worth it. He lets it hang.
Their technology is being used for all of this stuff. It's very interesting to talk about religion and then build death machines.
So people really thought that he'd bring that same energy when he did this podcast with Joe. But honestly, guys, this is Tim Dillon at the end of the day. I mean, he's an opportunist first and foremost. And as part
That's the word. He's an opportunist. That's the word.
Part of the Rogan sphere as well. So he would never just completely unload on Papa Toe here, right? And the funny part about that is that even Tim would tell you that. Like, he's at least honest about his qualities of being a sellout. Tim does, however, sort of warn Joe.
Don't worry, I have alpha brain.
Packed enough for the team, yeah? Packed enough fucking AB for the team. We'll crash that up, divide it into lines, and we'll be good. We got Eddie's here.
About the downsides of AI taking over the world in this podcast. Which is funny because it's almost like he's speaking to Joe like he's a 5th grader. Like this nirvana that Joe believes the world is gonna feel is really only gonna be for a handful of select elites that have invited him to the bunker, while the rest of the 8 billion people in the world will be left behind.
And then they have AI, which Elon just recently said is going to be like 1,000,000 times smarter than the smartest human that's ever lived.
Right.
Like, this is the goal. The goal is to create literally a digital god. And it's going to be controlled by not us, not the collective human race. It's going to be controlled by a select few group of people. And that's weird. And we're just trusting them.
Well, that's why you're not getting a vote on immigration levels, and you're not going to get a vote on, I think the reality is that eventually they're going to go, do you want safe streets? Do you want food? Do you want a little bit of money? You got to do X, Y, and Z. You got to believe X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I mean, that seems to be coming.
And it seems like if you put people in a corner and you get them scared, this is what we learned during COVID. Like, they will back down.
The AI stuff, which is very interesting, is starting to, I think it might, I don't know how quickly it will do this, but I do think it's going to lessen some of the cultural divides. And I think it's going to potentially unite people because I think it's going to be, the next fight seems to be about surveillance, privacy, your own rights, what rights you'll have.
Yeah, we're quickly going to realize all this racism and classism and fucking homophobia, whatever, this religious stuff that, all this stuff is nonsense. Regular people are going to realize we have more in common and we have more in common with each other than not. And we're all going to realize that the game is rigged against us by the elites. You get me? That's what we're going to all realize. We're going to collectively wake up and realize, you know what? The game is rigged against us. No one group of people is more oppressed than the other. The game is rigged against regular people, regular folks. So stand up, rise up, rise up.
I feel like that will be, it might take precedent. Instead of like these cultural fights that people have been having for a while, it might be like people might be demanding autonomy, from artificial intelligence.
And that's really all Tim Dillon could say to Joe about that without stirring up any drama. I mean, we've all seen how he reacted to Theo Von when Theo mentioned Palantir's technology being utilized in Israel.
And Palantir's involved in Gaza?
Palantir was involved in Gaza, yeah.
For sure?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Peter your best friend? Why don't you know this? Look at him. Look at him. I love when he fact checks his comedians. I love when he's more harsh with fact-checking comedians than he is actual politicians. I love that, by the way. I love when he's super hard on fact-checking his fucking comedian friends than the actual people responsible for what's going on in that country, like in politics. It's really funny. Proper grilling. You know what I mean? Grilling fear. Are you sure?
Put that into perplexity.
Breastfed by a
Israeli
drone.
government began using Palantir software in 2014. It significantly scaled up its partnership during the genocide in Gaza, which began in 20. This is a for sure a biased source, just by the way they phrase that. So maybe that's not the best source.
Like Joe just played super dumb to it all, then oddly enough started insinuating on his podcast after that episode that Theo was in a dark place mentally and was contemplating ending it all.
My friend Theo Vaughn. Every time he starts talking about something that drives him crazy, I just got to kind of rein him in and just like calm down. Like, you know, if you've had friends their lives, and I've had a few.
I've had quite a few.
It's a horrible feeling when you think about it and you go, what could I have done?
Which he then made a sloppy 20-minute apology video for once Theo Vaughn stated that he loves his life and would never do anything like that. And the reason this apology was super weak from Joe was that it was A, at the very end of a 2-hour podcast with Mark and Dreesen, and then secondly, it's because Joe never once mentioned anything about Theo's criticisms of Palantir and how they made Joe wildly uncomfortable. Joe was really only talking about how he's not owned by Israel in that apology. So that was a little bit more than interesting to a lot of people. Joe's also played some extreme defense for Peter Thiel regarding the Epstein files on his podcast in the past, stating that Peter Thiel would never go to the island because he's openly gay. I mean, that really came out of his mouth, and he thought that people would buy it.
Peter Thiel, I watch you talk to Peter Thiel. I've never seen someone lie so artlessly and autistically in my life.
What did he lie about?
Oh, dude, I'm going to put this out about Epstein Island. Maybe just some guys were cheating on their wives. Yeah, maybe that's all it was, Peter. Some guys were cheating on their wives.
See, the thing is, he's a gay guy, and he's not interested in going to that island, so he's probably on the outs. And allegedly, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he supposedly ever
that's
went.
not the only game in town.
Oh, I'm sure there's gay blackmail, but you can't when a guy's single and gay, like, what are you going to get on him? That he fucks other guys?
And no, there isn't any definitive proof of Thiel going to the island, but this is just really showing the length that Joe's willing to go to in order to maintain a positive narrative around the guy on his show. Because if you guys didn't know already, his connections with Thiel go way deeper than most people even know. I mean, Peter Thiel just seems to have his tentacles all throughout Joe's show. Like, he's known Joe since 2018, before the Spotify deal, and a lot of people actually believe that he may have been one of the people to strongly influence that deal to take place, since his firm was one of the early investors in Spotify, which supposedly had a
interesting. Wow. Interesting.
pretty hefty stake in the company. There's also the fact that a bunch of Joe's...
Which also will explain why Joe's so loyal to him, isn't it? If he's the one that got him the fucking $200 million deal times 2. Right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why Joe seems to ride so hard for him.
Guests, including Joe himself, have either worked for Thiel, had dinner with him, or were just involved with him in some capacity in one way or another.
You know, and my boss and good friend Peter Thiel was a supporter of Trump in the last election. I'm taking a huge risk in how much I love this guy Peter Thiel and how much he loves me. And people say, oh, okay, you're just a Peter Thiel tool. Well,
like the guy who made me feel really dumb and almost like a fraud was
Brendan Schaub?
Not Brendan Schaub. Peter Thiel. I was listening to him talk, and I went, yeah, I met him. I had dinner with Schaub.
Look at that face. Fair play to Brendan, man. Fair play to Brendan. Somehow he managed to live a life where he owned Ferraris and shit. Had a mansion in LA, you know? Had his kids in private school. Fair play, because he looks like, no offense to the guy, but like objectively, he looks like dumb, innit? He actually looks dumb, like just off rip. Fair play, he was able to get as much as he could out of life, man. At one point, not anymore, but at one point, he was living life like it was fucking golden, innit? Live my life like it's golden. Live my life like it's golden. Shit. Fair play to Brendan, man. Fair play to Brendan.
Peter Thiel. I was listening to him talk, and I went, yeah, I met him. I had dinner at his house, and I was like, he was talking, and I realized that everything I say is basically an amalgam of the things I've read or heard.
And this guy one of the ones that write those things.
Yeah, he just thinks up things on his own. Like,
well, you know, he started PayPal with Elon. Peter Thiel had a party at his house, and he brought over the guy who wrote Chariots of the Gods, he brought over Eric Von Daniken and invited me over as well.
And he
They
made him
invited,
read
so we
it
all
to you.
have this. No, we all had like a lunch around the table. He has these like power dinners and power lunches. They're really cool.
Let's
where
go.
He brings over interesting people and everyone has conversations.
That's the dream.
That's funny from Schultz. He made him read it to you in the cold plunge.
Went to one of the dinners at his house, and then I went to one of the lunches at his house, and he brought over Eric Von Daniken, and the guy was asking. We were all asking him questions about his theories.
So yeah, I mean, I truly think Joe spooked Tim Dillon in this recent episode they did together when he asked him if he has ever been to any bunkers. And also when he told him that he thought this AI Antichrist would feel like Nirvana for the entirety of humanity. Like that's just some really cult-like stuff, and knowing that he literally believes in that, I honestly don't blame Tim for not really going in on Joe about any other topic. But anyways, guys.
Yeah, agreed. Big up Tim, he tried, but Joe is too far gone. He's not even drinking the Kool-Aid. He's bought like multi-packs, you know? He's bought multi-packs of the fucking Kool-Aid. He's bought multi-packs of the Kool-Aid, 24 tin can trays, you know what I mean? Multiple on a wooden pallet, they're all stacked up.